I'm Michael Bungay Stanier. This is Change Signal. This is the podcast where we cut through the blather, the BS, and the noise to find the good stuff that works in change. If you're a transformational leader and you are looking for modern change mastery, here is where we learn how to care and to not care. We're about a week out from when the new special illustrated edition of The Coaching Habit drops. It's March 24th, so put that in your calendar, or not. To mark 10 years, to celebrate it being the best-selling coaching book of the century, which means of the millennia, which is amazing, we're putting out a new edition into the world. It is gorgeous. It is hardback. There are 3 new chapters. One is printed and the other 2 are accessible as downloads. It's illustrated. There's actually a graphic novel threaded between the chapters, sort of illuminating some of the deeper, more elusive parts. I love the graphic novel. Now, of course, maybe you're an audio person, and that's great because I've got something for you as well. There's a brand new recording. I read it this time. Previously, it was read by a great actor. And also, there are some contributions from some brilliant people, all reflecting on that big, juicy question, how do you bring out the best in someone? So we have Will Gadira, he's the author of Unreasonable Hospitality. We've got Liz Wiseman, author of Multipliers. Joseph Wynn, author of Don't Believe Everything You Think. There's a bunch more. Oh, and there's a recording of me coaching Brené Brown. So come on, how good is that? But enough about me, enough about this book. I hope you enjoyed the episode a few weeks ago where I shared the 4 paradoxes. These are the paradoxes at the heart of the being of coaching and really how you show up as a leader, as a manager, as a transformational expert, as a human being. And of course, it is in fact what one of the new chapters in the new book is all about. If you missed that episode or it's been 3 weeks so you can't remember anything about it, let me just whip through them quickly. The first paradox is about humble confidence. That's how you show up and how you hold yourself. The second paradox is how you hold yourself in relationship with another person, and that's with fierce love. The third one, how you think and manage and navigate through process, which is to be both light and to be grounded at the same time. And then the fourth one, the juiciest one in some ways, is how you sit with and you hold outcome. And that is both to care and to not care. Now, in this solo episode, I'm digging into that final paradox because I think it is often the hardest one to inhabit. I mean, particularly if you're in this moment and you're like, I'm thinking about change, I'm thinking about a transformational project that I'm running. How do I not care about the outcome of that? It sounds like madness. So let me set it up by talking through just a scale of how you might be showing up in relationship to the outcome that you've got in mind. And it's 1 to 10, but there's kind of 4 main buckets. And I'll just explain what each of the 4 buckets are. Bring to mind something that you actually are invested in the outcome of. It might be the transformational project, but it might be something else going on in your life. So 1 to 10, 1 is low, 10 is high. So if you're scoring yourself 1, 2, or 3, you're kind of in the whatever mode. You don't even care enough to not care about the outcome. You've assigned yourself the role of flotsam and jetsam. You're just on the tide and, you don't even have an important enough role. You don't even feel like you have enough control or influence to actually think about this one way or the other. So it is kind of beyond caring and not caring. It's a level of deep, heartfelt indifference, which of course is not heartfelt at all. It's just indifference. That's 1 to 3. 4 to 5, you're in a kind of goals checklist. Now, this isn't terrible, but this is a classic. Your life is driven by tasks. You're busy, busy, busy. You're actually less worried about the outcome. It's more about just, have I actually done the things that were on my list of things to do today? For me, when I'm here, it manifests in me going, look, I've done 47 of my 49 tasks today, just not the 2 ones that actually mattered. So in this way, you sort of lost sight of outcome. You're just going, am I performative enough in the work I'm doing that I get to check off my goals without really having checked in on the goals, without really having kind of confirmed that of all the things you could be working on, these are the things that you really should be working on. It's a very seductive place to be because it keeps you busy and it keeps you away from needing to be strategic. You're just in a kind of doing mode. Now, when we get to 6, 7, 8 out of 10, I think of people in this space of being outcomes champion. It's a definite step up from being that kind of goals checklist person. So outcomes champion, you're actually thinking, well, what does success look like? What do I care about? How do I stay agile and adjust? So whatever I'm doing in the moment, I'm constantly kind of calibrating to what's on the horizon and going, oh, that's actually what I'm trying to get to over there. You probably made some choices about, well, I need to focus on this outcome, so I have to give up on that outcome. Although, honestly, if you're down the lower end of this, like, let's say 6 out of 10, you have too many outcomes. I know that's probably true for some of us. It feels like it's true for me too often, which is like I haven't actually had the courage to name a few core outcomes, the big thing. And it's fair to say here that if you're here, this is a pretty good place to be. This is good enough for most people most of the time. So there's no need to, if you're giving yourself a 7 out of 10, kind of overly beat yourself up about this at all. I mean, this is good enough. But I do think there's a place beyond an 8 out of 10 outcomes champion. And I bet you're curious too, what is a 9 or a 10 out of 10 on the paradox of caring and not caring about outcomes? Well, I think a 9 or a 10 is when you sit with the awareness of you have already won. You're actually both delighted and slightly indifferent to the way this works out, because you've got clear that your work is to be really clear about what your garden is, what you're responsible for, and to work it to the very best of your skills and your talent and your capacity and your courage. And to know that actually in being a person who has the capacity and the agency to do that, you've already won this game of life, at least in this moment. And to realize that actually you can't be responsible and you can't be caring about the outcome because that is subject to the whims of the gods and so many things. So you can see how this can show up both in terms of your relationship to an outcome of a project, and I think of this in the context of coaching. It's also in the context of how you are with another person. Like if I'm coaching somebody, I have to both really care about them and I have to care about how I'm showing up as a coach. I have to go, look, my job is to be amazing as a coach. I need to embody all those other paradoxes of humble confidence and fierce love and light and grounded. But it's to not care with what they do with the coaching. It's not to care about how they then play the cards. It's not to care about the choices that they make. And I mean, you know that's tough. If you're a parent, if you're a teacher, if you're a manager, if you're a leader, you get entangled in this. But this place, 9 out of 10, I've already won. You're choosing to sit with this idea of I've won by being in relationship with this person. I've won by being able to work on this project to bring agency and capacity and creativity to it. And I get to let go of the outcome. Now, of course, I'm interested in how your score is. Well, where are you 1 to 10 on this scale of caring and not caring? And my guess is, for some of you at least, you're like, okay, I've got this number. How do I get a higher number? How do I start bumping myself up the scale? Let me just give you the headline of what I think are the 3 key drivers that can make all the difference and helping you move up the scale. The first one connects to that first word of the paradox, the caring. And actually, the inspiration for how I articulate it comes from a poem by Rilke. The poem in translation is called The Man Watching, translated by Snow, I think. And the lines that I love, these are the final lines of the poem. Winning does not tempt him. His growth is to be the deeply defeated by ever greater things. Isn't that marvelous? Winning does not tempt him. His growth is to be the deeply defeated by ever greater things. So this key driver is your capacity for ambition. To be ambitious for yourself and for the world. It's holding both of those in tension in a dance together. And I think the people who are at the higher end of the scale, they have this willingness and maybe hunger, but certainly this kind of drive to say, look, I'm not going to plateau here. I'm not going to just coast. I'm going to stay hungry for ever greater things, to be deeply defeated by ever greater things. So I'm curious to know how that lands with you. It's like, how is your level of ambition? How are you stepping out to the edge of who you are and what you know and what you can do and what impact you can have, and asking, what does it take to take another step further? So that's the caring bit. The don't care part of the paradox, I think the key driver there is to embrace your cosmic irrelevance. I know this is suddenly taking a nihilistic turn for some of you, but for me, there's such great freedom in understanding what a very small pixel of light I am in the big scheme of things. Just as one exercise, and I'm doing this as I speak, I've got my arms stretched wide. I'm 6'3", so my arm span's probably about 6 foot. And from left fingertip to right fingertip, let's say that represents the billions of years that the Earth has been around. Humankind, this is the whole of human existence, can be considered a nail clipping. That's it. That is it. And I have a picture in the house of that very famous picture taken by Voyager. And it's Voyager sailing out into space. And it looks back on Earth. And the Earth in a single sunbeam is captured as a single blue pixel, a pale blue dot. That's what it's called, the pale blue dot. And that's it. That's the whole of humankind. That's the whole of history. And when you see that in context of time and space and distance and all of that, you come to realize, at least I come to realize, it's just how irrelevant, how delightfully irrelevant, how cosmically irrelevant my life is. And that's an incredibly freeing experience because on the one hand, it doesn't matter at all what I do. On the other hand, I may as well make it the very best I can. So I find this powerful tension between being deeply defeated by ever greater things and holding my cosmic irrelevance at the same time. Now, how do those two come together? Well, look, I think, and this is for people who have got those numbers up at the top end of the scale, I think what unites them, and this is now calling on a Zen parable, is the third driver is this willingness to chop wood and carry water. Keep doing the thing. The Zen parable is after enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. So, even after you've had that big moment, the next day, the next moment, you get back to just doing the things that keep the world turning. And here's the three tensions now, the three drivers: to have that hunger for ever greater things, to embrace your cosmic irrelevance, and to show up present and willing every day to chop wood and carry water. So thank you for listening to this solo episode. I'm hoping that it's inspiring for you. I'm hoping it's making you curious about the coaching habit in the new edition, because one of the new chapters, of course, I go deeper into this. We've declared 2026 to be the year of the coaching habit, with a goal to offer ways to help people deepen their curiosity, deepen their coaching wisdom and capacity, and also to have some fun along the way. If you can see the power of being more coach-like and being able to stay curious longer in how you show up as a transformational leader, and I hope you do, I think it's a core capacity. Well, look, I hope you get curious and go find your level at mbsworks.shop. If you listen to the ad, you've already heard this. If you skipped it, this may be a first time for you, but we've got a cool Kickstarter campaign going on for just a few more days. Closes down on March 23rd. But we've designed these levels. We call them the power up levels because you get to power up your capacity. It gives you just what you need to deepen this capacity and courage and wisdom in terms of how you show up to lead and parent and teach and collaborate and connect. There's one level that's absolutely free. There's the insider level, which I've already talked about, which I think is the best value. That gives you brand new access to a program I've designed called Bring Out Their Best. And there are a couple of offers for people with a corporate budget. So if you wanted to bring me in as a speaker or you wanted to connect in a different way, there's a limited number of those as well. But in any case, thanks for doing the work. I'm glad you're here.